Good evening and thank you for joining us. Canadians are bracing for a dramatic change in everyday life as the week starts with schools, daycares, and some businesses closed in many parts of the country. It's an effort to limit the impact of the global COVID-19 pandemic and protect those who are vulnerable to the new coronavirus. But the numbers in Canada keep rising. There are more than 300 cases of COVID-19 across the country. And as of today, it's in all provinces, with Nova Scotia announcing its first 3 presumptive cases. They're all related to travel. But the outbreak is hitting Ontario the hardest, with more than 40 new cases since yesterday, bringing the total in that province to at least 145. Just 5 of the province's cases have been resolved so far. But while other countries, including the United States, have declared a national emergency, the head of Canada's public health agency says there's no need to do that here.
Some of the other sort of declarations that you've seen in other countries are for them to seek additional authorities, which could be financial. At least at the federal level, we already have the necessary tools and mechanisms and authorities to obtain the kind of funding and other authorities that we need.
But Dr. Tam is reiterating the call for Canadians to postpone or cancel any international travel. WestJet says 2 passengers on 2 recent flights tested positive for COVID-19. One passenger was on a flight from Vancouver to Kelowna on March 10th. The other was on a flight from London Gatwick to Toronto Pearson on March 11th. That fear has fewer people traveling anyway, which will likely lead airlines to cut flights. Now the rush is on to get Canadians already outside of the country home before travel becomes more difficult. Here's Abigail Bimman.
That was my concern. I didn't want the borders to close down.
After being told by Ottawa to get back while you still can, airports are busy with returning Canadians. Nerves on high, Elliot Maggs witnessed a fight in the customs line.
Someone had, bumped into someone else, and then the other guy said, "Whoa, what are you doing?" He had a face mask on.
Calling COVID-19 a serious public health threat, the country's top doctor is now asking Canadians returning from anywhere to self-isolate for 14 days.
With cases rapidly increasing in Canada, particularly in British Columbia, Ontario, and Alberta, a window to flatten the curve of the epidemic is narrow.
We're all being very, very careful.
Justin Trudeau is holding a rare Sunday cabinet meeting, speaking from outside his home where he is self-isolating. In an interview with CTV's Question Period, the Prime Minister addressed whether it's time to close the border.
We have taken some very strong measures, and we're not taking anything off the table. We are looking daily at next steps that we might take or we should take, and those conversations continue.
I don't know how I'm going to survive out here if I can't get home.
Meanwhile, plenty of Canadians feel stuck overseas. Jordan Delarge teaches English in France. He has a flight home booked for the end of March. Trying to come home earlier seems impossible.
There's certainly no flights within the next 4 days. And then you'll find one flight that's around $4,000 for first class, and then no more flights, and then another one $6,000.
We have a flight booked. While this BC couple has been on a cruise for 2 weeks and tells Global News they're currently stuck at sea with other Canadians, Chile won't let them dock.
The authorities from celebrities and from the ship are negotiating with the government of Chile to try to get us off the ship.
We have a flight booked tomorrow evening from Santiago to Toronto, then Vancouver, then Victoria. And I guess we just have to wait and see if we can get on it or not, or if they let us out.
Canadians who are
Air passenger rights advocate Gabor Lukács calls it a dire situation.
The challenge people are going to face is that there will be no flights back.
There's been no talk of what happens for Canadians stranded who tried to come home, while Canada's top doctor says declaring a national emergency isn't necessary in this country, as Canada has the tools it needs to deal with the situation for now. Abigail Bimman, Global News, Ottawa.
The push to contain this virus continues among the provinces. Today, Quebec's premier ordered all bars, movie theaters, gyms, and ski hills to close. Alberta, Nova Scotia, and PEI are the latest provinces to announce school closures. Officials say these tough measures are required to keep people safe. Heather Yourex-West reports.
Just have to take it day by day, I guess.
10-year-old Marigold Mioch will be doing her schoolwork from home this week after Alberta's premier announced tough new measures to control the spread of COVID-19.
These include the immediate cancellation of all K-12 and post-secondary classes, as well as closure of licensed childcare and out-of-school care programs in Alberta.
Schools and daycare centers will remain closed after March break for at least 2 weeks, and we will continue to review in consultation with public health.
That means classes are now cancelled across Manitoba, Ontario, Quebec, Nova Scotia, PEI, and Alberta. School remains open in Saskatchewan for now.
If you have school closures, that has a dynamo effect. You know, parents may have to make arrangements either to stay home themselves or they make arrangements for care that may be worse than being in the school setting.
Quebec's premier has also ordered all nightclubs, bars, and movie theaters closed in his province. Restaurants can remain open, but only if they stay less than 50% full.
Why do we do that? We do that because we think that right now we have to slow the increase in the number of people infected. So that's why we're asking for these additional measures.
How many pages do you have?
Back in Calgary, this mother thinks her province is doing the right thing. She and her daughter plan to remain at home as much as possible right now, willing to do all they can to curb the spread of COVID-19. Heather, Yourex-West, Global News, Calgary.